Michigan and Wisconsin, two key battleground states, declined to remove former independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s name from their general election ballots this November, despite his request and withdrawal from the race. Kennedy announced last Friday that he was suspending his presidential campaign and would endorse former President Trump. I didn't cover it because I've tried to avoid covering as much as I can. Okay, minor party candidates cannot withdraw, so his name will remain on the ballot in the November election. Jerry Hardman, senior press secretary for Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, told Axios in a statement Tuesday. Kennedy is slated to appear on the Michigan ballot as the nominee of the Natural Law Party. The Natural Law Party held their convention to select electors for Kennedy. They cannot meet at this point to select new electors since it's past the primary, Hardman added in the statement. Hardman has not responded to requests for comment. Wisconsin similarly decided Tuesday it was too late for a change. The Wisconsin Elections Commission, after first deadlocking on the issue, voted 5-1 to keep Kennedy's name on the ballot. Officials pointed to a state law that says unless a candidate dies, they must remain on the ballot after filing for office, the Associated Press reported. During the proceedings Tuesday, according to NBC News, the chair of the commission, Ann Jacobs, quoted the state law to another commissioner who had concerns about keeping Kennedy on the ballot despite his request otherwise. The statute literally says any person who files nomination papers and qualifies to appear on the ballot may not decline nomination. The name of that person shall appear on the ballot except in case of death of the person, Jacobs said, according to the news outlet, which cited an archive recording of the proceedings. You're giving me this touchy-feely. I feel like this shouldn't be the law. The law in this case is crystal clear, Jacobs added. I don't disagree with you. It's weird, but I don't see we have any discretion here. The Hill has reached out to the commission for comment. While Kennedy's withdrawal from the race has not dramatically changed the 2024 presidential race on a national scale, the decision does have potential to move the needle in certain states where the margin is already thin. According to the Hill/Decision Desk headquarters polling average in Michigan, a three-way matchup has Vice President Harris 45.5%, leading Trump by 3 points, with Kennedy getting 5%. Without Kennedy, however, Harris's lead in Michigan shrinks to 2.3 points, with 48.4% to Trump's 46.1%, suggesting Kennedy's presence on the ballot would give a slight boost to Harris. The Wisconsin polling average in hypothetical three-way matchup shows Harris leading Trump by 4.3 percentage points. Kennedy gets 4.3%. Without Kennedy in Wisconsin's head-to-head matchups, Harris's lead over Trump shrinks to 3 percentage points. Okay. So, as I said, as I was trying to read this, I was not someone who was trying to cover RFK's withdrawal at all because I just didn't think it was like I haven't really bothered with covering his campaign that much. I haven't seen a point to hyping up a third party candidate that I wasn't really that enthused for. But this is really quite the revelation because the whole point of him dropping out back on Friday was to help Trump, right? That's why he endorsed him. And if he's on the ballot in two swing states, there is a real probability that Harris will be aided by him still being there. Because, listen, even if a candidate says, don't vote for me, right, and I'll vote for the other person, their pull only extends so far. A good example of this is that even though Bernie endorsed Hillary, there were 12% of Sanders supporters who went from supporting him in the primary to voting for Trump in the general election. There was a write-in campaign for Sanders during the 2016 election with Tulsi as his running mate that he was not, someone who co-signed on, but they still put his name up there. And I think in Vermont that year, he was able to get about 5 or 6% of the vote total, even though he wasn't, again, someone who was actually running. So what I'm getting at is that if Kennedy goes and says, "Oh, my name's on the ballot in Michigan and Wisconsin. Just don't vote for me over there. Vote for Trump," right? It still isn't going to have as much of an effect as him having been able to get his name off of the ballot, because the option is there. People who are not really liking Trump and are certainly not going to vote for Harris are going to go, "Well, I guess I'll go with the person I originally wanted." And it's crazy because in RFK's suspension speech, he mentioned the possibility of no one getting the 270 and then he gets deadlocked. And so there's a part of me that almost wonders because you have like he's not whatever you think of RFK Jr. He's not a dumb person, so he knows when he drops out of a race less than 3 months before it's supposed to take place, there's a likelihood that you can't take your name off the ballot. You can't just like say, okay, well, never mind. You know, I'm no longer a candidate. So when he mentioned the whole thing of, oh, well, I could still win the presidency or I could still have some impact, the mixed signals. Is he? So it's like, if does he want to be a candidate or does he want to be one who doesn't matter in swing states? It's all over the place. But the short answer is that this is something that will almost certainly help Harris. Um, And if Trump does not win Wisconsin or Michigan, and Michigan is an area that Harris really needs to be worried about because her Israeli policy, or excuse me, her Israeli Hamas conflict stance, the whole war in Gaza, has upset a lot of left leaning people. Um, so that might counteract RFK Jr. being on the ballot, right? So that could be something that causes her supporters or people who would nominally be more inclined to support the Democrat from not showing up. But if she's not able to get that one under wraps, then RFK Jr. still being on the ballot will probably be of aid to her. Really, it just comes down to which one of these people is actually going to campaign and go out there for people's votes. It's it's so surreal how we only have 2 more months left and it feels like a lifetime because just the race has changed so much since June that I can't believe we're still in the same election cycle. But yeah, RFK learned the hard way that you can't just decide I'm not running anymore and then they take your name off the ballot. And if Trump does not win Wisconsin or Michigan, I would be really curious to see what the vote totals are, like the actual numerical totals that we get. Because if you can count RFK Jr.'s number of votes with Trump's number of votes and it's like more than Harris or um, like adds up to where she just barely wins, then you can tell that there was a realistic impact from him still being on the ballot. So this is another plus in Harris's column. The only thing she needs to do to, I guess, actually ensure she wins these states is to address the issues that people have had with her campaign. Right, a lot of like right leaning people don't like her on immigration, and a lot of left leaning people do not like her on Gaza. So she better figure out how to course correct.